Well, for our music lesson tonight, I'd love to do something completely different. We're going to do something completely different. We're going to take a look at some sheet music and see what's happening. So, I have a book with me of Chopin waltzes. Chopin waltzes. And we're going to take a look at the one that I'm currently working on. Back from lurking the second I hear music, Smanford. Get back in here. It's music lesson time, Fred. Let's go. So the waltz, yeah, love Chopin. Love Chopin. I've never completed a Chopin waltz. I've learned a little bit of the grand waltz, and I've learned a couple of Chopin nocturnes. But this is going to be my first time trying to take on a full waltz. So we are working on. I just started this yesterday, actually. So it is waltz number 10. It's opus 69 number 2. So an opus is when a composer or an artist puts together a collection of works that all, they don't necessarily have a through thread, but all were part of the same creative output, the same moment, the same inspiration, so to speak. And oftentimes with classical composers, an opus would be have the same ideas recurring in it. They'd have some musical device or melodic sort of idea, and you'll see it pop up. They wrote like 2 piano pieces that kind of employ this idea, a couple string pieces, maybe a symphony, stuff like that, that all sort of pings or builds off of one idea. All right, so this is, waltz number 10, opus 69 number 2, and it is in the key of B minor. I'm going to hand this over to Jules so that y'all can take a look at it. Get a better look up close here at what this waltz looks like. It is published posthumously. So something that Chopin, I was reading the history, I read some lore on this today. I think he wrote it in his early 30s, but then it didn't get published until after he had passed. So part of the posthumous output from Chopin. Chopin as a composer he's one of our composers who wrote pretty much entirely piano music. Does have a couple symphonic works and some sonatas that incorporate violin and strings, but the vast majority of Chopin's output is piano music. So when we look at this, first off, we have our tempo marker up there in the top left. So this is what piano sheet music looks like, y'all. This is how the written language of music happens here at the piano. So we have our tempo marker, moderato. That's what it would have been in the original publication, just written moderato. But they've given us the modern tempo marker as well in parentheses. So it says a quarter note equals, what is that number? I can't quite make it out.
152.
152. So a quarter note equals 152. Pretty fast. That's pretty quick. We tend to think of 60 BPM as being sort of your heartbeat, as like one beat. That's a beat per second, right? BPM means beats per minute. So 60 BPM is literally 1 per second. So 120 would be twice as fast as that. 152 is going to have a little bit of oomph under that, and that's what the quarter notes are. So that's what this left hand part. So that's going to be at 152, 1 and 2. Ba, 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 ba. So that's what our left hand part is going to sound like for this. You can see that we're in the classic waltz time signature of 3/4, which means we'll be counting 3 of those quarter notes per each bar of music. It's written with the standard clefs for piano, so we have a treble clef up on top and a bass clef on the bottom. Piano music uses 2 staffs, so usually the top staff is our right hand, the bottom staff is our left hand, and usually the top staff uses the treble clef and the bottom staff uses the bass clef. That's not universally true, and we can change even inside of a piece of music. Hey, welcome back in, Angelissa. Just doing our music lesson here for today. It can change even inside of a piece of music. Sometimes if the right hand is playing really low notes, you'll see the top clef change to a bass clef, but usually it still means the right hand is reading on the top staff, left hand's on the bottom staff. Same thing if the left hand starts playing really high notes, we can see a treble clef on the bottom staff. But this is what we might call the default or standard configuration for those 2 staffs and clefs. Then there's 2 sharps, those 2 hashtag signs after the clef. That's called a key signature, So one of those sharps is on the letter F. So each line and space on our music, on our sheet music, each line and space is a letter in the musical alphabet. And so that first sharp is on the letter F, and the second sharp is on the letter C. So that means in this entire piece, everywhere that we see an F, that we're asked to play an F, we'll play F sharp instead. And everywhere that we're asked to play a C, we'll be playing C sharp instead. So we'll have to be watching out for that. Now they can add in additional sharps or flats, and we also have what's called a natural symbol, which cancels out one of those sharps or flats as well. So we can make and expect those adjustments. That's it. Yep, that's the natural symbol. Totally. Nice, Jules. So we can expect to see those changes and stuff happen. We're not rigidly stuck to this. In fact, most pieces in any given key use notes that are outside of that key as well at some point. Awesome. So our key signature with 2 sharps, what that means is there's a major scale that has 2 sharps in it. And that major scale is D major. But it also means that there's a minor scale that has that same number of sharps or flats. This is called relativism in music. We call those relatives of each other. So whenever you see a key signature at the beginning of a piece of music, we don't actually know whether it's the major key or the minor key. It's technically both until we get into the piece of music. And sure enough, once this piece starts, that very first bar, we play the note B. Our left hand plays the note B and then a B minor chord. So it really puts us quite firmly in the key of B minor. Really establishes B minor right out of the gate for us. So we are in the key of B minor here in this piece. So this is Waltz number 10 in B minor, Opus 69, number 2. And our tempo moderato, got treble clef on the top, bass clef on the bottom. And the last thing we might notice is that letter P there means piano. Piano means that we're going to be playing quietly. That's our dynamic marker, which means we're going to be playing quietly. We also have this arc going across those first group of notes. That means that we're going to try to slur those notes together. We're going to try to play those notes from one to the next without any pauses in between. As opposed to right, we want all of them connected and phrased together. So it's called a phrase marker or a slur. Last thing we have is that greater than symbol under the very first note. And it's under a few different notes. That's an emphasis symbol. So it means we emphasize that first note and then into our quiet. Then into our quiet passage. So all together we're going to get so many modes too. Yeah, Schmanford. Yep. Modal music is a thing. Yep. Right within each one of those major or minor keys, we could actually start on any one of the 7 notes and create more scales based off of the same number of sharps or flats there. That is our pedal marker. So the PED with the star afterwards is telling us to press down the pedal, the sustain pedal or the damper, and then lift it up on the star and then repress it again. This is also Nugget Man 12138. Welcome in. Thanks for that follow, Nugget Man. How are you tonight? This with this kind of arrangement of the pedal, we would say we're pedaling the left hand. You can see how the pedal marker follows exactly with the left hand. That I put the pedal down with the first note, hold it down, and then let go, and then repress it together with the next bar. So that pedal action is following what the left hand does. Or we could say pedaling the left hand as well. Hey, Stark Cats, welcome in. Good to see you. So there's our music. That's the start of this wonderful waltz in B minor from Chopin, and a look at how piano sheet music works. And wish me luck taking on this piece. I was able to read through and play through the first like 16 bars or so today. And it does kind of repeat after that, but it's long. There's like 4 more pages of music. The finger patterns up there. Those are finger numbers that we have on the top there as well. Ritornello there. So a little bit of a slowdown, just a little bit of a breath into that part as well. Yeah, we can see a few of those ritornello markers, and a crescendo and diminuendo. That means we're going to get louder from the start of that word crescendo. We're going to get louder and louder until we see the word decrescendo, and that's where we'll come back down until the P volume marker you can see on the next line of music. We have the letter P again. So we're going to crescendo up to that moment right before the decrescendo. Then we'll start decrescendoing, going quieter and quieter back down to piano. Yeah. A lot happening. A lot of information, right? Yeah. Life before recorded music. You got to be able to convey every single musical idea in the written language. And so it's really detailed stuff. Also, this instrument can do a lot. The piano is a tremendously versatile instrument, so we find in piano music that we can be told to do a lot of things. It's part of like the piano playing world, especially in the classical world, of how much detail, how much of that stuff do you actually acknowledge versus how much do you, the player, put into it? How much is your interpretation? Where do you feel the phrases? And where does that liberty that a player can take, where does that start and stop? It's an interesting debate of how much of that you acknowledge or not.
Is that Glenn Gould?
Yeah,
He's
Glenn
really,
Gould
like,
argued that he was very in favor of the performer, and in fact argued that you, as the performer, there's a good chance that you have played this piece and understand it, therefore, more intimately
right,
than the composer.
right.
There's a chance that the composer probably wrote it as they were playing it along and maybe played it once or twice and that was it. Whereas you, the performer, are here with it hundreds of times, learning it bar by bar. It could be argued that you know it better than the composer does.
Wow. Wow.
He was a very controversial figure in that way and didn't get along with a lot of people, especially conductors, especially ensemble settings, had a hard time working in those places. But it's a, it does hold weight. It does hold weight. It's the only thing I can claim to do as a sax player. Crescendo on a single whole note. Yeah, piano. Nope. Yep. Piano is a percussion instrument in that way. Yeah, that's right. No true sustain, no true legato, and can't crescendo or decrescendo on a single note, like horns can, like strings can, like vocals can. Yep. Bedtime for me. Have a good evening, y'all. Good night, cat. Good night, cat. Much love. Sleep well. Good rest. Good dreams. Good sleep to you. We'll see you next time, cat. Lovely. Thanks, Insect. Hey, hope y'all enjoyed the piano lesson. Thank you, Insect. Thanks, Kat. Thanks, Manford. And thanks again, Ranger Link. Thanks, Link, for the points redeem. That was fun. We've never looked at sheet music before. Yeah, that was a totally different music lesson there. Happy to share that all with you.